Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today with our WESC webinar. My name is Carly with WESC. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we usually host a free webinar monthly, but with the current COVID-19 situation, we will be hosting them on a weekly basis. These webinars are recorded and can be viewed at any time at wesc.ca/services/resources. Today, our topic is strategic social media, the most human brands win, and is presented by Kelly Doody, founder and CEO of Social School. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat box. Kelly will decide if she wants to answer them later or during the presentation. Thank you, Kelly, for joining us today. Please start when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Carly and Josie, and thank you all for being here today. The sun is finally shining in Calgary. I'm not sure about in all of Saskatchewan. I feel like you guys have had way more sun than we have. But Social School has been around now for 8 years, and we've done a lot of work with WESC over the years, and it's been such a pleasure. So I've been really looking forward to today. And just being able to even virtually chat with people is so nice. I'm sure most of you, well, many of you can likely relate to the isolation. And so, oh, thank you, Leanne. You guys are just the best. So I would love for this to be as interactive as possible. Our subject matter, when we agreed on it, was a little bit less, well, dare I say, crisis-oriented. Not that we're talking crisis today, but it's certainly going to play into our conversation. So we can't really address how to be a human brand going forward and where we should be in our content and our digital marketing if we're not considering the current environment that we're all operating in or trying to operate in. We have some very real challenges on our hands, and I would love to just start off today by asking how everyone's feeling. I know that's a loaded question, but when it comes to your business or the organization that you work for, is there a word that you can sum up that you're feeling today? Don't be afraid to say uncertain, completely lost, scared, unemployed. Our staff has drastically changed. We too have had nothing but overwhelmed. Yep. We've had nothing but uncertainty ourselves. We've had to cancel every one of our classes and conferences and bring everything to our students and our clients online. Hopeful. Thank you, Lindsay. That's great. Sylvia, empowered. Wonderful. We're going to be talking today a lot about our people. We've flavored our content over the last couple of weeks with, the same type of questions that I think a lot of you have probably had in the sense of what can I be saying right now and what is appropriate to be talking about versus what feels opportunistic or what feels inappropriate or like I have my head buried in the sand. And so I think if we can really envision where we need to be when this uncertain, crazy time lifts and what our people, our prospects, our customers, our clients are going to need from us, then we can really start to speak to them in the right way. And yes, be as human as we can. Tiffany says nervous, but I think we'll come out stronger. I really love that. I can't help but feel like there are glimmers in much of our student community and ourselves as well as to the sort of the optimism or the opportunity that people see. Of course, we have to be very mindful, as I know you are being, of the front line right now. And we're biding our time and we're being as patient as we can. But there's no shortage of people saying to me, and I relate, maybe this is just the opportunity I needed to reset, to push pause, of course, personally and professionally, and really think about where I'm going with my business and where it was going. And were you spinning plates and perhaps just doing the same old because you didn't have time to stop? And, what is it that now we can look towards, not just in a digital version of our offering or some kind of more virtual delivery or e-commerce site or whatever it is. Sure, those are the tactics. But really thinking, and this is going to flavor our entire conversation today, what are people going to need from you going forward? What is their mental state going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now? What is their pocketbook going to look like? Are you a luxury, nice to have product or service? Or are you a necessary one that is going to be flooded with, business when this is over? And really understanding the pain points and the needs of your people like never before. Thinking so deeply about how we make it about them and not us. And I keep saying that the customer, the companies, that are going to really thrive or at least come out alive are those that are considering their customers and their needs far more than they are their own products and company revenue, bottom line, et cetera. Of course, you're thinking of that inherently, but what are you portraying and what are you really driven by? It's your people, because that's who you need in the end. Okay, so feel free to use the chat as you go. And if you notice there, I think maybe Carly might have pinned my comment there to the top of the chat, which is great. Oh yes, she did. So there's a little Google Doc there if you want to use it. It's just a worksheet that we're going to be referring to at the end. I want to make sure that you leave with something written down if that's your thing. I guess you don't have to, but I really enjoy Google Docs. You can just open that up and then head up to File, make a copy, and then you can have it in your own drive. You're not going to be able to edit the one that I've sent you. It's locked so that we don't all start editing the same document. Make a copy and you should be good to go. And we'll refer to that at the end and certainly throughout. So if you have any questions as we go, please pop them in the chat and let's communicate as much as we can. I really appreciate your interaction, and the fact that I'm talking at you, not with you, is unfortunate, but c'est la vie. Welcome to webinar life. Okay, so how do we serve our people the best way that we possibly can? What does that look like? And bear with me as I try to advance my slide. There we go. So the truth right now, what are we looking at? Well, we're, still many of us thinking of ourselves as a B2B business. We're business to business, or maybe we're business to consumer, or maybe we're even direct to consumer as maybe a sales rep or even a multi-level marketing company. But really having to go back to the idea that is not a new one of being human to human. We are humans selling and serving other humans. And the word serving is the focus. We're not selling, we're not pushing, we're not promoting, we are serving. Always be serving. And if we think about our product, even if it's, the most behind the scenes, wholesale or indirect kind of consumer business, it doesn't matter. We had a really interesting client or workshop opportunity in December. No, what month is it? It was just 2 months ago. Oh my goodness, March. Whoa. I need to go outside today. So it was with one of Canada's largest pipeline companies. And it was so fascinating to me because here this company thought they were B2B. Their stakeholders, we did a big 2-day workshop with 40 of their marketers, and their stakeholders in their minds were literally the shareholders, the staff, the executive, and then there were the rights holders, their second audience that they thought their content was needing to serve, and that was literally landowners and Indigenous peoples. And it blew my mind that they continuously refer to themselves as B2B. We don't have any onus to the people, to the consumer. I don't have to talk to you, Kelly, as a general public member, because you don't have a stake in what I do. When in fact, we're saying we absolutely have a stake in what you do because we have the rights, I'm speaking generally, to block you from being able to dig that pipeline or go about your business. And you don't have the social license to operate if we don't know you, like you, and trust you enough to let you proceed. And that's an extreme example where pipelines are, probably the biggest, dare I say, farthest removed from the actual reality of what consumers want and the ability to tell their stories properly a decade or two ago that has now led to a complete misunderstanding of what they do and an inability to operate. Had they been more human, had they been more trustworthy, had they been more open to seeing us as absolutely stakeholders, maybe the scenario, the landscape would be a little bit different. Maybe not. There's still a lot of factors. However, no matter what we're doing, we are not thinking of ourselves in these limited scenarios or buckets anymore. When we're thinking about our real goals here, of course, having our brand purpose, our values, our alignment with the people that we're trying to serve is what's going to attract them to us. So we're attracting exactly the type of people that feel relief, gratitude, magnetism to what we have to say and what we want to do. And that's exactly what we should be doing. Because as the saying goes, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. If you're selling everybody food, it is absolutely not appealing to anyone. If you're selling Indo-Chinese, cuisine, blah, 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 I'm showing up if that's my thing. Or if the sandwich board outside your nightclub talks about the fact that it's like, 80s Comic-Con night for millennials, great. If I'm that, I'm there. If not, it's not for me. No problem. Moving on. But I know that as the owner, the founder, the marketer, I can speak so directly to that exact person. And that's what we're getting to today, is who is that person and what do they need? The third piece of this is the belonging. And this is where we go beyond trying to create loyalty and even trying to create love for our brand. And we create something that makes people feel like they belong. They think they have a stake in it. They have some sort of, not right to it, but at least a feeling of understanding and affinity that makes them come back for more. Not only does it make it a no-brainer that I'm going to buy from that soap company, even though it's a little bit more money, but it's boutique-y, but I don't even love the product necessarily more than the other guys because so much is the same. There's so few barriers to entry and choice is everywhere in my feed, online, anywhere I go. But actually, I love the hands that made it. I know the founder's story. I've never met her, but I know enough about her and I feel like I align with it. And I'm so appreciative that she's let me in because she uses social media and other tools to tell her story or let me feel like I understand what she's about and her people. And that makes me feel like I belong. If we think about the companies that are doing this really well, they have gone far beyond some sort of product-based sales or alignment, and it will go towards, thanks, Leanne, it goes towards this sense of creating a feeling like it is for us, it was made for us, and we know that we're going to come back for more. Speaking of, a question to ask ourselves, what are your sticky bits? What are the things that make people, that they remember you for? This can be all sorts of things. What do they love you for? What do they talk about for a long, long time? And is it a thing? This could be your customer service, timeliness, responsiveness, your return policy, absolutely based on your product or the resources and people behind it. That's wonderful. What if we can go one level deeper and it's a feeling? As they say, good stories are memorable because they evoke emotion. The emotion that you feel is what makes you remember it, retell it, live it, enjoy it, etc. And if we can feel something a little bit emotional when we talk about our brand and thus know that we're invoking it in other people, wonderful. And if we get to that final point there where we start to make them feel like this is so built for them that they belong to something, great. Why does belonging matter so much? Well, because it's then we're not just marketing, we're not just selling, we're creating delight, we're creating joy, relief. You're going to have to define that word for yourself. So we're going beyond relationships and loyalty and love, and we're building that wonderful B word, the B. Where do we really feel like we belong? Let's just back up a step here. Goes without saying that these guys here feel like they belong to something. They identify as, obstacle course racers. What about if it is a sports team or an alumni or some kind of college, whatever, of course, culturally, community, anything artistic, religious groups, for sure. This makes such perfect sense to us that we belong to these things. We identify as them and we build our personal identity around them as well. What about brands? Who does this well? Go Riders. Yes, perfect. Don't make me tell you the story like I do every time I'm in Saskatchewan about how my grandpa was a Rough Rider, because he was Jack McFarland, 1947, I think. So the Harley Davidson, this is like a marketing case study for every generation in every textbook. But if you have the desire to own a bike, I'm told, it's not even that Harley makes the best bikes by any stretch, but they have a certain culture, feel, brand, and identity around them that those who aspire to be a part of that know exactly what bike they're getting. And Harley knows its brand so well that it knows how its people belong and connect with each other. It knows to turn down, Harley branded accessory products like dirt repellent or grease repellent, because one of the cultural habits or pastimes with the Harley riders is to clean their bikes together. And then they have famously turned down anything that would take that away or change that. They know their people and they sure wouldn't mess with it. Red Bull, same thing. If you're a Red Bull fan, you don't need to see a picture of someone drinking it. You just see them living the brand. You see them feeling like they align with it and they get to be a part of it. So we belong, we love, trust, embrace, and ideally we stay. We are not doing what is 90% of consumer behavior today and shopping around. Just because your family in 2020 has always gone to the same dentist for 3 generations across town or down the road in Moose Jaw does not mean that you're still going there anymore, because choice. You're on your phone at night and you're scrolling Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook Live, and there's some cool, young, hip new dentist that is showing up for you and making you feel like you know them and you trust them, and they're giving you tips and behind the scenes and some tools and some just fun personality building content. And suddenly you feel like you want to try something new. And this is what is directing consumer behavior today. And it's why we have to stop focusing on loyalty and start thinking about love and belonging. So understanding our people is how we do this. And I love the idea of the iceberg emotions, because we all know the whole thing about the iceberg. It's bigger below the surface. So who are they really? What is underneath what the surface level persona that we're all walking around pretending we're okay with right now is? What is your biggest fear? What is your biggest desire? Something that's crippling you. It's that line, what do you do? Well, I teach people social media. Well, what do you really do? Well, I help them launch the business of their dreams. Or who are you? Who are you really? It's like when I was a journalist, my editor used to say to me all the time, yeah, tell me more. Still boring. Tell me more. Tell me more. And if I could get further to the root of the story and understand whether it was actually newsworthy or not, was the goal. And quickly you realize, no, this is way too vanilla. Doesn't appeal to me or anybody else. Doesn't evoke emotion, not noteworthy. So when we think about the crippling fears and the deepest desires, we start to build out the really meaningful pieces of our marketing, but also our brand as a whole. And it starts to allow us to see how we're different. That's the big thing here. What is differentiating you from that other dentist, physiotherapist, florist, whoever down the street? What is it that is your unique value proposition? Sure. Your unique brand identity? Sure. But really, how are you going to change my life? And this is the bio statement I put on our Instagram feed, I think on Friday, and people seem to like it a lot. It was the 6-word statement. I, or we, second, some form of the word help, train, show, educate, teach, build, create, grow, blank. I, blank, help. Who it is you help is number 3. Teachers, millennials, divorcees, stay-at-home dads, whoever. And then do what? The 4th statement. What is it that you help them transform? Or how do you help them transform, achieve, end result? So I help so-and-so do what? Now, if we think about something that might be a little bit boring, let's think of, we're not a super cool, succulent plant shop with endless beautiful imagery. I'm an accountant. What do I do? Well, my sticky bit, back to that first section, is what people remember me for. And in fact, it's not my attention to detail in their tax return, unfortunately, even though I pride myself on that. It's that one worksheet I give them that is their mileage log that's done a little bit differently. Why is it done differently? Because I'm not just giving them more things to do or feeling like they're still losing, so to speak, or that more is being piled on their backs in this instance. I'm actually showing up for them to get them to the finish line. So my sticky bit might be that one great worksheet that I make a mileage log for entrepreneurs so dead easy before tax time, but I also create a webinar where I show up and we build it together. And it's a group of 5 people, and I don't let them off that 45-minute webinar until that mileage log is done. It's complete, it's shipped, and they've just solved the problem. So I've taken that sticky piece and I've turned it into a sticky customer that wants to keep coming back for more because I'm serving them at that next level, even though I'm as dry as can be. And the content is another piece. How am I turning this into really beautiful Instagram content or Facebook? Well, I'm not just showing the product. I'm certainly not showing my mileage log spreadsheet. I'm showing the people that I serve. I'm showing them in their joyous end result transformed state. And that might be a little bit grandiose, but it's not. If you think about, the faces faces and the places and the people that we want to see on the internet, that we want to see in someone's content. It is the humans on the other end of it. It doesn't matter what you're serving. And if you don't believe me, I encourage you to look at software companies that are doing this really well. We think about some of the tech companies or service as a software companies that are absolutely B2B. Your Hootsuite, your Planoly, your my personal favorite Later, which is a scheduling tool for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. And Planoly and Later, Planoly is their competitor, their Instagram feeds are so beautiful, and they're not just showing, code technology, someone like signing a giant check to deliver to the local Boy Scouts or cutting a ribbon at the playground because they are, the local tech company that donated. No, it's all about me, the user. It's showing me tips and tricks and tools and cool graphics and screenshots and videos, and it's showing their product in action as well as who they're serving. You get the point. If you have any questions as we go, please type them in, you guys. So sure, is it marketing and promotional content or whatever it is in your world that educates, inspires, but it also gets me to the finish line? Is that relevant for you? Maybe not for all of you, but is it changing my emotional state as one of your customers or your prospects? Not only is it going to make you stand out, but it sure is going to make me keep coming back. So that lifetime value of me, who you've worked so hard to win over through your content and your e-newsletter and your marketing channels, your paid, your organic, your events, God help us, your conference appearances or trade shows that you're working. But how do we get people to come back around? Because we know how much time and energy it costs to get them in the first place. So changing their state, getting them that one step further. So here you go. This is your first chance to, well, maybe you've already written down some of the words that I'm puking at you on rapid fire. I apologize. In 3 words, and I'd love it if somebody was to donate us 1 or 2 in the chat. How do you want people to feel? Some of you said it already about how you're feeling. Inspired, grateful, excited. But what about your people? Inspired. Amazing. Thanks, Melissa. Connected. Cool. Oh my gosh, you guys are still here. This is great. Curious, interesting. You want to leave them wanting more. I love it. That's such a great segue back to that 6-line statement. So what do? I help people build the business of their dreams. Oh, tell me more. As opposed to, I help people take their online software to the next level with a whole series of, you've lost me. Same thing with the press release in the newsroom. You've overwhelmed me. You haven't left me wanting anything more. Or when I read that social post, I'm not compelled, curious, inspired, excited. So how can you take that feeling and bring it to life? Loved and cared for. Amazing. Joyful, empowered, confident. Thanks, Deanna. That's awesome. Capable of solving their own problems. Optimistic. Very cool. A little side note here. I think I was feeling sorry for myself the other night and the world. And I went downstairs and I hopped on my husband's Peloton it was the best Christmas gift I've ever bought. Oh my gosh, that thing's saving our lives right now. But anyway, so here I was super grouchy. It's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, I should really exercise and move my body 1 time this week. And this gal who I've just fallen in love with, Allie Love. I'm loyal. I feel like she makes me feel like I belong. She's just this crazy New York spin instructor. And she was so positive and optimistic. And it made me think, you know what, Kelly? Give your head a shake, because being vulnerable and being real, especially right now, is, yes, very important. But also, we need to still lead. You need to lead your people. You need to show up for them. And you need to not hide your real emotions, but man, are they ever at the surface for us. And someone said to me the other day, well, what's that happy medium? And I said, I think it's where you leave feeling a little bit overexposed or that you made things worse. So brightening someone's day, guarding your emotional state like crazy right now. And if you want your people to feel accomplished, relieved, free, supported, healthy, and strong, wonderful. We've got to find that in ourselves right now. And I know we can do it. It's just such a crazy time, but just reminding ourselves who you're magnetized to. I'm so magnetized by Allie Love. And while she's real, she's not moping around. She shows up for me every time, once every 6 months, just kidding, that I get on that bike, and she's the same on her Instagram feed and her IGTVs, and she's just so motivating. And that's what I need her for right now. Okay, good stuff. Let's keep moving. So what are we doing? We're making it about them and the problem that they're solving. If Ali Love, my favorite New York spin instructor of the moment, was making it all about her, I would lose interest so quickly. And the moment that we start talking about ourselves on our website and our about page, whether it's, our accomplishments, accolades, awards, schooling, I don't give a crap. I'm so selfish today in 2020. As the general consumer, I'm going to give you 4 seconds of my goldfish size attention span, and I'm going to expect that you're going to solve my problems, make me feel something the moment I read it. So how are you using the words you and your? Become the healthy person you know is a tagline from our friends at a chiropractic clinic that we worked with extensively at our social retreat in September. And originally their tagline, opening their new chiropractic clinic, these 2 young guys, Calgary's most holistic chiropractic services and more. And it was like, okay. And then they shifted it and we went deeper and deeper into this exercise of making it about me, the user, the second I get there. Leave me wanting more, leave me compelled, make it about me. So changing it, flipping it on its head, you can look it up. It's curochiropractic.ca, I think, CURO. And now their tagline is become the healthiest person you know. Marie Forleo, one of my favorite business digital life coaches. She's also from New York. Her tagline, the world needs that special gift that only you have. I do? Yes, where's your button? Call to action. I'm in. Tell me more. It's not about how Oprah has called her the whatever. So thinking about the problems that we know, and that we can solve. The struggle has never been more real to be seen and heard. We know that. Knowing where our market is, both tactically, what platforms are they on now? What about tomorrow? Why are they there? How do we show up there? But also knowing what to say and do when we get there that speaks their language and doesn't annoy. It delights, it compels, it inspires. We're doing this by being human at all costs. We're pulling back the curtains. We're being as, likable and trustworthy and open and authentic as we can. We're talking a lot about the ABCs right now, the A's being authenticity, accessibility, authority. You still have to show you know what you're talking about if you want people to choose you. And then advocacy, which we're aiming for. The B being the big belonging in the middle, and then the C being the content, the very clever, creative, compelling content that allows us to do these things for free. So fun. All right. Here we are. Tiffany is saying, how can you tell them about you and make it about them? Great question. If I land on your website though, and let's say I don't know, Tiffany, if you want to tell us what you do, please feel free. But if you're a dog trainer and it's all about your credentials and how many clients you've had, okay, maybe that still works. But if instead it's like, talking to me about my problems in a subtle way, but you are in some clever line or two, header, subheader, you're understanding that I don't know what I'm doing. I have the worst dog and I've tried everything or something like that. This is where our copywriting skills really come in. You're a gym owner. Amazing. So you know my pain points. You know that if you're serving either the lazy mom or the workaholic mom, I'll say, that never exercises, or the transformational, formerly overweight, whoever, or all three, that's cool. But in your marketing, you're infusing the idea that I got you. This is for you. It's time to transform your life. Become the healthiest person you know, not Saskatoon's most, well-trafficked gym or longest standing whatever. And we have to be careful of this ourselves. Of course, we want to talk about our conference series as being Canada's biggest digital marketing, blah, blah. But it doesn't work. It really doesn't. And every time we test it out, and when we say something like, it's time to launch and execute the business of your dreams, or Canada's largest digital marketing conference series, A wins every time. So I would just encourage you to try and use the words you and your as a start, and travel the internet and see who's doing it really well. If something catches your eye, I guarantee you it was about you and it spoke to you and your pain points or your deepest desires as opposed to theirs. Vicky is saying, mine is a place for your mind to become quiet so your spirit can speak. Amazing. Amazing. I love it. And there's something that you're going to say in person versus what you're going to say online. If I say, nice to meet you, Vicky, what do you do? And we're speaking in person and you're like, oh, I'm a place to quiet your mind. So you're, I might be like, oh, that's really weird. But of course, you're going to have a different version for your in-person versus your homepage versus your e-newsletter, your email signature. And how much can you shorten it? You know, could you even shorten that to be quiet your mind so your spirit can speak? And then I understand that you're a place because I can see the photo of your studio or your home office or whatever it is. So just thinking about it however you can to make it about me, not you. Awesome, Tiffany. I'm sorry, I should put my glasses on. You are saying, is it Sneha saying fashion boutique selling Indian inspired products? Awesome. Find your culture, find your people. Who are you trying to serve? First things first, know what they're looking for and know what it is that you can provide them with that makes them feel an immediate hallelujah moment the second they get there. Understand them. This is sales 101. Stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Show that you understand them, you know them, you get them, and then show that you're the absolute solution to their problems. Instead of giving information and then getting a little and then giving even more, give, get, give, we flip that around. I get what I need off them, so I know who they are. You guys are doing this every day. If I asked you tomorrow, what do your clients need the most? You'd be like, oh, they need to feel this and this and this. Great, you've gotten that. Now give them what they need to hear and then get the sale or get the loyalty. A photographer, Patricia, my focus sheds light on the best you. Amazing. How can we maybe take the word my out? I don't want to change that entirely. I think that's really lovely. Shed your best light or something. But I love that you're using the word you. That's really, really great. Okay, let's keep going. One more question, actually. Kaylin, I think is your name. When you're in direct selling, how do you take the same information everyone is using to make it more unique so you're not like everyone else? Great question, especially when you're being provided with, potentially, from a parent company, the marketing materials. And you have limitations, and there's red tape in every industry, I can promise you that. But if you can, again, tweak it a little bit so that if someone says to you, my question or my web query, which I know because I'm following Google keyword search and organic search that leads people to my website or my competitor's site, answerthepublic.com is an amazing resource. Type in landscaping or travel agency and you'll see what people are searching. Why do I use a travel agency? How much should I pay? Where do I find a travel agency in Regina? You can literally use those same words. Why you need a travel agency. Or, you know, that's more into your kind of copy and your content. But either way, answering the questions that they're asking you in one way or another, you'll get there. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, it was answerthepublic.com. I think you get one free search a day. It's really cool. Just enter your industry. And if you do create a free account with them, if you log in, then you can also drill it down to your city. And I better not get too deep down a rabbit hole here, but Google keyword search is also incredible for that. If anyone's into Google Ads, we have a number of courses on Google Ads. But before you go anywhere near placing an ad, you get to use their keyword builder. And you can see what people are searching in your industry, in your city, in the last month, next month, plus what it's going to cost to advertise on those words. But now we're getting information. The research phase is the most important. And a lot of us have anecdotal research, but we don't have the digital research of what they're actually searching for in their queries. And remember, when we're on Google searching for something, we're transactional. Our state of mind is like, I'm ready to buy. I need to find a dentist. I need a new gym or a florist or whatever it is. When we're on social, we're usually there to be entertained. That's not to say don't show up on social, but showing up in Google search is also really fantastic. And we can do that with blog posts and everything else too, as long as we know what they're searching for in Google. Okay, so I've already said this. If we're talking to everyone, we're talking to no one. We're trying to understand our people so deeply so that when they show up in your inbox or when you show up in my inbox, it feels like it was written to me and for me. It's not some big box blanket messaging. It doesn't work. We have expectations today that if we really sit down to think about it, would blow all of us away. If Netflix tells me that I may also like something that has no bearing with me, I'm like, yo, Netflix, you don't even know me. What's happening? How come your algorithm's broken? Or when Spotify's playing AC/DC and I'm like annoyed at my husband for going into my account again. We have expectations that our email marketing, the email that we're subscribed to, and the promotional messages, the things in our feed, especially when they're from a brand, they are for us. They get us, they're for us, or we unsubscribe. immediately. Unfollow, block, unsubscribe. And if we're thinking about how to continuously show up for people and move them along a customer journey, not just amass a 10,000 person mailing list, yeehaw, with a 3% open rate, big deal, no one's buying. We're moving people from along their goal towards buying, shopping, subscribing, calling, booking, a meaningful action. And by doing so, we serve all our goals as well, because we're moving them along our pipeline. So we have to understand them. We can do this with a persona kind of characteristic, which is probably what some of you have already done, or you can think about it really quickly. We can also do this with segments. So this is more demographical, geographical, et cetera, sort of that like top line data. And sometimes we infuse some behavior stuff in here, but this is where I really want you to think about behaviors, not just demographic characteristics. What are they doing? What do they need? So this is it. Jobs, pain points, the solutions that they're seeking. There's an exercise for this coming. What is it that they need done? Not just once, maybe on the whole, if they're going to subscribe to you. How can you be the solution to that? And this is the most powerful form of audience definition, is when we can understand their, again, surface level and deepest desires and speak to those in a really clever way. So can you answer this question? What are their biggest fears today and tomorrow? What about their desires, their wildest dreams? If you, well, I'll give you an example that I took out of the slides because I wasn't sure if it was appropriate, but I had an example in about, forgive me if this isn't appropriate. In November, three of my friends and I, are two girls, my three of us were turning 40 the same week. And we decided to have a birthday party together at Social School campus. And the email that my friend Danielle wrote, the subject line was "Your first three-way." See, this is now inappropriate. But either way, the invite was quite cute. It was an invite that said, like, what happens when, one friend owns an event space and her husband's in a band, the second friend works for a beer empire, and the third one wrote a subject line that got this email: "Quarantined from your inbox. We're having a party." So it was really fun. But what happened was, our friends started receiving it. Thank you. Our friends started receiving it and screen grabbing the Evite on their phones because they were being targeted with ads. And three of them got the same ad. Dresses for older ladies was the keywords that they were being targeted with. It was horrifying, but I also laughed. I loved it as a marketer and I hated it as a 40-year-old woman. But case in point, and I was like, some punk in his basement's writing ads and literally like bidding on links on the internet that use the words like 40-year-old birthday party, whatever, even though really, if he knew us, he would know that we're all like working moms, dual income families, struggling to get by, surviving in Alberta barely, never seeing our friends. Like, I could go on and on. Desperately would love some fresh air, some nature, some fun, some connection, a party, to feel good, to feel young, to feel fun. Now, that ad is not going to go in and say, "Hey, I know you're feeling ancient and this would feel, we've got a sexy dress for you. Want to feel 25? But they at least would know something about us as a company, maybe not as one ad, but to know that this is their demo. Working parents that want to feel young and fun. And then they can craft copy that speaks to that in a subtle way, or however direct they want to be. But you get the idea. Forever 21. So I would love to be targeted with Forever 21. That'd be so good. So how do you have this information? Why do you think this? What are you doing about it? Do you really know the emotional desires of your people? And then how can you show up for them in a really human way? That's what we mean when we say the most human brand wins. It's those that know and understand the people that they're serving and trying to sell to, so that those people not only feel like they belong, but that they're understood and that you are the solution. If anyone feels like, I'm going to type it in right now. Has anyone heard of Camp Hoo Ha? I would bring up the website if I could, but you're going to have to do a Google search. When it was last June, I was scrolling something or other, and I'd never heard of Camp Hoo Ha before. And it's now actually in North Battleford, as well as I think Calgary, and there's a few other stops along the way, Red Deer. So I see this site pop up, or this ad, and it's for Camp Hoo Ha. And I'm like, what is that? I'm really telling you guys all my pain points here, but this is the point. Is that I click on this thing and I see this website, and right away I'm like, summer camp for women? What? Didn't even know I needed it, wanted it, was looking for it. Super fun times. Thank you, Melvina. And then I scroll a little more and I see my friend Mel, who's the camp, like lead camp counselor. It's her new company. She's a former graphic designer. She's in her mid 40s. Then I see my friend Mandy Stobo, the arts and craft counselor, and my friend Julie, the cooking counselor. I'm like, I'm in. I scroll down to the bottom of the page and there's this logo that's like a big vagina tent, pardon my, again, candidness. And I'm like throwing my money at the screen. Like I've never literally bought a $400 ticket to this random sleepaway camp 3 weeks ahead in my life. I didn't know I wanted it. I didn't bookmark it and say, nah, maybe I'll come back to that. That spoke to me so deeply in that moment. Talk about hitting the nail on the head for her market and her branding and her language and the fun of it all, that it ticked a bunch of boxes for me. I didn't even care if I went alone. And I did. I went alone and had the best time with a bunch of crazy women. But the point being, if you can get someone to buy on that first glance or subscribe or fill out a form or book an appointment with you or pick up the phone, you've won. Because there is so much choice. And tomorrow, had that not spoken to me so well, tomorrow something else would have done a pretty decent job too. And now we have all this choice again, and we're going to shop around and we're not going to be loyal. But the more that we can win it right off the bat, the better chance we have at succeeding. Okay, so again, sales 101, there you have it. Position yourself as the solution to their problem. And it doesn't have to be so direct. Mel wasn't saying, hey, Kelly, I know you feel old. You should come to sleepaway camp. She just put it out there for me because she had listened. She had already gotten the information from her friends that this is what something they wanted. And when she built it and spoke so directly to that one friend who she's like, hey, this is for Janine. She's working her tail off. She's 46. She's got this, or maybe she's 25, doesn't matter. And she just needs a break and she needs some fun and whatever. I'm going to speak as if I know Janine, and I'm going to write my copy like it's me talking to her directly. And what happens is I'm going to capture so many other people similar to her, and they might be male. They might be 80. It doesn't matter. A final example I'll give you here of this is, a condo developer in town called Battistella. They're a wonderful company, and they've always been very cutting edge. And we did a big retreat with them as well, and I got them as my team. And it was so interesting because the Battistella brothers in the 80s took over the company from their Italian parents, and they've been sort of this condo developer that's always prided themselves on really risque names of their buildings, beautiful branding, really out there. They only do one building at a time, even though they're these giant towers, or somewhat giant. So anyway, they feel like they are not hitting the mark. Their latest building was called Nude, and it was micro condos, targeted at millennials or new Canadians even, but like affordable living, downsize your life, enjoy what's important, etc. It was beautiful, and it still is. The website's gorgeous. And but they kept saying, this isn't working because none of the people, the 25-year-olds, are buying. It's their parents, the boomers, that are buying like for them or as an investment property, or it's overseas investors. We need to change up the marketing and target those people. And I said, no, absolutely not. The moment you start shifting and having this other persona, you know that that's a buyer category, sure. And you need to speak to what they need to hear in order to buy. But they're buying because you're positioning your product for this young, cool, hip, eco-conscious, global, category of people, and they want to be a part of that. So you're attracting other audiences as a result, no matter what. So don't worry if you feel too pigeonholed that suddenly you've painted a picture for Janine and really you're also needing to attract Jim. You can, and you will, and you can do it to both. You can certainly write content for Jim and write content for Janine and have different areas of your website for that, no problem. But the whole point is that no matter who your audiences are or will be, you've just got to know them really, really well. I think I'm beating that one to death. So let's keep going. So if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And this goes without saying, when we think about how we want to be spoken to, as I said, not only does it have to be personal and targeted and tailored, but it has to continuously serve us or it gets boring. And that's a lot of pressure for us as business owners or marketers or copywriters. But we can do it well if we're just constantly nimble and we're listening. We're always listening and watching. So you guys, let's do this a little bit here. We're nearing the end of me talking at you, I promise. So a bit of an exercise. This isn't in your Google Sheet, but you can add to it there, or you can put this in a notebook or just think about it if you want. So if you were to think about your current customer, and I want you to think whether your business is completely turned upside down and it'll never be the same again, or you've been laid off, or I know that, this is going to be tough for some of us, but who has your customer been to date? And, demographic, psychographic behaviors, really important to think about here. And if you can do it for one person, that's wonderful. Maybe you have two very distinct male, female, or young, old, or whatever, that's okay. Even go ahead and name them if you want to. You can talk about when we do this really, really deeply, we know what kind of wine they drink, cats or dogs, where do they eat, where do they travel, where would they love to travel, what kind of house do they live in, etc. Just knowing them well, like you would a friend, so you can speak to that friend. The second group, your next customer. This is who we're thinking about in the 6 month from now category. And it might be 3, let's hope. Let's think that, okay, let's go with 3. We're going to be optimists here. Let's think that by July 1, who is your customer? What's changed for them? What has really rocked them? What is going to be shifting their spending and their consumer confidence? What is it that you offer currently that is no longer relevant for them? What is it that you're doing that's no longer relevant for you? I don't know about you, but when I looked at my calendar 2 weeks ago, I was like, well, none of this matters anymore. Scratch that, regroup. So what is it that they're going to need? If you are something that is a luxury good, let's say you're an artist, let's say you're a jewelry maker, you are something that is not necessarily required spending, you're that above and beyond type of product. That's okay. There are many people that still have, for one, disposable income. Let's not assume that everybody is going to be completely without any kind of funds. Hopefully, the economy will open up again and there will be spending. How are you serving them until then and showing up for them? Not so that you can basically, have them come running in your doors, but thinking of you and aligning and feeling affinity towards you, that when they do have the ability to spend, they choose you. I love, there's a finance book I was listening to a couple months ago, and the fellow was saying, he's like, if I hear one more financial planner say, if you just cut out your daily latte, you'd be a millionaire. He's like, I love my latte. And that for me is a luxury. And that's what I'm keeping in my budget. I was laughing with my neighbor Kyle yesterday here in Inglewood in Calgary. He runs Plant, and it's this succulent shop that is insane. I use him as an example all the time, that no matter, literally oil could be worth negative $2 a barrel, and people would still be lined up down the block outside of Plant Shop YYC is a beautiful Instagram feed you'll see on a Saturday. He just has this line of products. And I said to him, I'm like, I'm really sorry your doors are closed. He's like, no, we're doing curbside delivery and online. It's kind of crazy. I'm like, oh my God, of course it is. You still have this necessary product, but he also owns a stationery shop next door. Go figure. And that one, suffering. So what is it that you have that people will ideally still need and want? You've got to pinpoint that. And why do they want it? How can you tell them about it and serve them in the meantime? What joy are you giving them? Custom shirts, great. There's no shortage of people saying, and I agree with them, that we're possibly going to be far more conscious of the things we're buying, and that we will be maybe thinking of them as more purposeful purchases. So maybe something custom or tailored or artistic is right up their alley. There's the fear that every brick and mortar shop is going to be closed very soon. But at the same time, I would dare say that suddenly shop local doesn't feel like a pressured, high pressure statement or some kind of wet towel of a campaign. It's like, no, every Canadian, every almost citizen of the world right now realizes that actually is legit. It matters if we want to have local businesses. Melissa saying, I own a day spa. We are shut down for services, but have been trying to keep up with retail sales and gift card sales. Awesome. If you have any ideas, Melissa, on the kind of content that your people need right now, I'd love to hear them. What is it that they are possibly feeling? I mean, I think we all know the same kind of things: isolation, frustration, fear. But what could you do in your content in the meantime that is going to encourage them or feel like they're taken care of or they're loved or they're, again, it's examples of their own emotional iceberg feelings. Kaylin, I sell natural-based non-toxic hair and skincare products direct to your home. My benefit right now is that you don't have to leave your house to get these essential products. That is awesome. Wonderful. And how can we if your content, I forget if you're the lady who asked earlier whether or not we have the the ability to differentiate ourselves as, you know, maybe a franchisee or a direct to consumer type brand. And I would say there that that's our opportunity to really serve with videos or tip sheets or those webinars that actually show them how to use it, or they actually take it to the next level. And I think that's where I've seen direct to consumer salespeople or business owners do really, really well, is when they take the existing content that everybody else is creating and they up level it, and not just with like a how-to video, but something that's a little bit even further creative to that. Okay, Pam is saying, I'm a massage therapist and I've been doing online yoga classes, meditations for free right now. That's awesome. Pam, I would love for you to check out Kajabi. Is the most incredible, I'm going to be running some Kajabi teaching launch labs, we're calling them, in next month, because it's like, it's web hosting, but it's also course hosting. So Mindful, if you're not aware, I think that's how you spell it. Just Google Mindful Meditation. They're out of New York. And I subscribe to their e-newsletter because it's gorgeous. And I've been watching meditation studios come and go and not quite make it in Calgary for years. And if I didn't have this business, I would start that business. But they have shifted to a Kajabi-based membership model. So they still have their, you know, live classes when their studio will open again. They also have an app that's like Calm, like it's like a recorded meditations. They have a Shopify site for their swag. It's gorgeous. And now they're using Kajabi as their online, and any fitness studio could do this, you guys, or any coach, baker, whatever it is, anyone who's going to teach. It is a gated portal, so you can buy like the mindful meditation site. They've created a Kajabi micro site that allows you to buy a day pass for, I think, $10 or a month pass for $30. And then all the Zooms are embedded into that micro site that get unlocked for you. And the benefit of these guys is that, of course, you can teach a Zoom meditation from your house. So all these instructors are still teaching from all over the world. And you see the class schedule right there. My point is, so many people right now, my brother owns a CrossFit gym in Edmonton. My best friend owns a boxing studio here in Calgary, and they're giving it away, of course, as we know. Now there's some crowdsourcing, there's some donation classes, etc. But back to that idea of what we're now used to, I'm looking at thinking, will I ever have the budget again, or do I need to spend $200 more on my monthly boxing pass or my yoga pass? Because now, oh my God, I can do it online, and I built this little studio in my basement. And that's not to be fearful, that's to be realistic. Will people still want to gather in real life? Absolutely they will. Will their budgets be different? Possibly. And is there now a bigger global market that you can tap into? Yes, myself included. Focusing on it. How can you have this like sophisticated portal that is not just a free Instagram live or a Facebook live? Take it to the next level, and it's very doable. There's so much software out there that can make it happen. Sorry if I missed a few things here. Parenting coach. Oh my gosh, Jen, you could do the same thing. Free coaching tips. Great. And it's not just to say gate it and make people pay for it. Make it affordable, but capture their email address at the same time. Capture them as a member, bring them along, and recognize that now you've got this online offering, but you're not just going to assume that they're all going to come flooding back into your personalized face-to-face service any longer, because they may not, and we may not be able to. So what can you do to monetize your online offering? Sam saying, we are a babysitting and nanny placements agency. Since our on-call demand services are suspended, we started placing short-term nannies for COVID-19. Great. And thinking about too, who else is going to need that going forward? What kind of additional service offering? Maybe your third audience, which is the next slide here. If we think about our next customer, then what are dream customer? And it doesn't have to be like dreamy wholesale. I suddenly got into, I don't know, Target USA. No, it is that customer that now is part of my new offering. It's my online global customer. It's an entirely new demographic of people that are working from home 2 out of 5 days a week, because now they have this weird office share going on where the insurance company they work for has an office on Monday, Wednesday, and then they share it with an accounting firm that has it Tuesday, Thursday, because welcome to the new world where overhead are down and we don't all need to have our offices in glass towers. And thus, those 2 days a week that they're home, they need a different type of nannying or something, or pick up for their kids or dog, or evolving your offering to suit the evolved needs and behaviors of your people. Vicky, good for you. That is awesome. If you feel like typing in the software you're using, the program, please, by all means, let us know how you're doing it. Okay, you guys, this is the final piece here. So of all of those personas or those different kind of customers now, then, and later that we're talking about, what else can you do to get to know them? Who are they really? Asking yourself that question. What does a day in their life look like? Map it out. Find a picture of them. Build a little dream board of who they are and put a face on them. And remember a name and the habits, and thinking about that if you were to call them up and know them and speak to them, you really could. And you've crystal balled your way into that next customer and done the same thing and stuck it up on a wall and your whole team's on the same page about it. How do you capture their attention? What do they want from you? And what are you going to do that's not going to be just annoying, but delightful and service-based and long-term? Keeps them coming back. Oh, Patreon, cool. That's great. I don't know much about Patreon, but I've certainly heard a few people using it more and more. Good stuff. Okay, so you guys, this is what takes us to that final, I don't think I can click the link in the slide, but if you do go into that Google Doc, there's a few more things here. So let's just talk that through, and feel free to quote it. Oh, I see some of you have opened it. That's awesome. Hopefully you're able to, again, just go up to File and then make a copy, and then you'll be able to edit it yourself and keep it in your own Google Drive. So a few additional questions here about the audience insights and solving their problem. What is the singular focus of our marketing message if, in fact, we're aiming towards showing up for them in the way they want us to? What do they want to gain? That current customer, or what did they want to gain? What do they want to save? And this doesn't just mean money. This means, like, is it time? Is it energy? Is it frustration? Is it additional research? How can you be the solution without them having to find some other weird brownie camp for ladies, or car dealership or accounting service? What do they want to avoid? Is it, a website that's slow loading or not mobile friendly? There's one piece. Or is it just someone who's going to sell them a line and trick them into something? Have they been burned in the past? Do they already despise your industry and, hate filling up with gas and you're starting from below the starting point, like a pipeline company might be? How do we address that in a way that's authentic without being too negative? And then most importantly, how do they want to feel? And then the second piece is your future customer. So you can think about this however far off you want it to be, and hopefully understanding their human needs and then what it is that you can show up for them with to be as human as you can be yourself. What is Leanne saying? The golden rule of marketing is to market to the people the way you want to be marketed to. The platinum rule of marketing is to market to people the way they want to be marketed to. I love that. That's so good. And, one of my favorite kind of evolutions of the way that marketing has evolved to that point is even when we think of email marketing, for example, it used to be just get it to the right people. Serve your e-newsletter or your social content to the right person that's on your list. And then it was to the right person at the right time. And then it was to the right person for the right time for the right reason. And now to the right person for the right reason at the right time for the problem that they're trying to solve. So it goes beyond just, straight up our issues and certainly deep into theirs. Does anybody else have any other thoughts or suggestions or additions to that? Whether it's about your audience or what you think they'll be, the words that you're hoping to leave them with, or the emotions you're hoping to instill. Oh, thanks, Janet. That's so nice of you. I can't help but get excited when I'm actually talking to people and they're responding. It's so nice to have communication. Okay, Jessica's saying, we're a tech startup, creates a digital time capsule where multiple people contribute to a person's stories. We're storytellers to have a playful spirit, but also are being used for funerals, etc. How do we balance the sad, happy? That's a tough one. There is a lot of choices to be made there, obviously, and clearly you're thinking about them. There's a nonprofit that I really, really like called Charity Water. And yes, Sneha, you can certainly find me anytime on social. We are online as Social School or socialschool.io. And we have a whole free series of webinars coming up, you guys, for the next 2 months. Basically, as part of our small business success fund, we doled out last week $62,000 worth of scholarships, and we've got as many other free webinars, tools, and training as we can. So it'll all be on our site, but thank you so much for asking. So Charity Water is really, really neat because it's got, they've made a choice. This is a company who's raising money to bring clean water to third world countries, and they basically build wells all around the world. And not only is their fundraising model incredible, if you read their story, but their feeds, just look at their Instagram feed. It is so bright. It is the end result. They've fast forwarded to how they've changed lives. They're not showing people in need. And it's different. It's different than the commercials we see come on Saturday mornings with, children and people starving and needing support. And it tugs at our heartstrings in a different way. But I would dare say that Charity Water has made a really bold decision to just show happy faces. And they're very clearly in Africa or South America, and they've benefited from this company and from your donation. So it's tugging at me in a different way, and it's instilling me right away with the same hope that I think it's giving to people on the receiving end. And as me as their customer, as a donor, potential donor that has the options to donate to anywhere, basically taking the stance of positivity and joy, and again, end result, as opposed to stacking it on the front. Okay, let's see. Charity Water, thanks. I'll check them out. Do you guys do one-on-one consulting also? Yes, we do, Jessica. We do a lot of coaching. Thank you for asking. Melissa, I feel like I'm running out of ideas of what to post on social media since we aren't running. Oh, girl, don't get me started. Other than what I said before, I can only post so much about that. What are some topics to get people engaged? Day spa. Thank you. I'm going to tell you that in the month of April, our big campaign that's going live this afternoon is called GYOB, Grow Your Online Business. And we're basically talking a lot about Kajabi, websites, landing pages, funnels, and just like e-commerce, but without overcomplicating it. In May, it's all content. And it's for us, we're just basically saying the content formula that people are missing, and I'm going to spell this out simply without overwhelming you too much more than I already have. One piece of keystone content a month or a week. Let's say that is, ideally it's a video or it's a blog. It's deeper, it's richer, it's long form. So if I write a blog on, well, for one thing, I just told you, our themes of the month, there's a starting point. Can you come up with 12? Are they based on the seasons of the year? That's like February, love, March, joy, April, connectivity, May, I don't know, life, air, something, June, sunshine, July, joy, have colors, have themes. And then when you start to build out your content week over week with that theme as your top idea, then you've got your content categories and your pillars. And this is what we're going to go deep into. We talk about this in all of our social media courses, which are currently live if you need some training right away. But your pillars ideally are what you divide your content into. For me, it's 3 things. Personality and purpose is our biggest one. We talk about our alumni, our students, our companies, our clients, our favorite brands. Number 2, marketing, meaningful marketing. So interesting campaigns, ideas, insights, trends, topics, industry stuff that allows us to have that authoritative A. And then the third thing we talk about is just straight up Mad Learns is our third pillar of all of our content and essentially our company. And that's where we do, tools, training, 101s, webinars, workshops, labs, courses, etc. So that's how we divide our content. Again, monthly theme. So websites in April. No, May. And then we have our pillars. So personality and people, education, and insights. But you could do it as entertainment, education, insights. That's always a great kind of baseline pillars, unless you've got something different. Below the pillars, you have your categories of posts. How-tos, did you knows, behind the scenes, tip sheets, 101s, unboxings, interviews, audits, Q&As, testimonials. These can all start to pepper in. But before you get too complicated there, I just want to plant this seed of the monthly theme and then the weekly keystone content that is done on a Monday or posted live on a Monday, and it's a blog post. And I guarantee you, if I asked you for some of those some of the things you're asked the most often. We have a lot of leading questions in some of our content classes. If I say to you, what do people ask you about every day? What are people most surprised to learn about when they work with you or step in your spa? What are people most excited about after they leave? What could you talk about for days without ever getting bored? What are the biggest misconceptions you'd love to clear up in your industry or myth busters? What are little known facts about your industry or your products or your people? So then we start to kind of go, okay, I've got some ideas for my keystone content, either a blog or a video. I love the idea of a blog on a Monday that then helps me wrap my head around one big idea for the week. Then I film an Instagram live on Tuesday. It's 15 minutes. It's me forcing myself to put on my big girl pants and go live. And I talk about exactly that idea, but I've practiced it the day before, as you do when you write it out. So those two pieces of content can then get split into a bunch of little ones: social posts, an e-newsletter, a replay video on Instagram, IGTV, or Facebook Live. You can pull it into a captioning service and have your video captioned really quick. My favorite one for that is called, oh gosh, I'm blanking on it right now because I've tried so many. Hang on one second. Content manage. It's called, Zubtitle. I've tried a few. Zubtitle is amazing. You put a video in there. It can't be more than 20 minutes. And it is, I think, $8 for the month, and you get 10 videos. And they caption it for you. So you could even film a 10-minute tool time or new product or Monday morning, whatever it is, thoughts from the industry, trends happening, or the latest mortgage rates, or meet a staff. And then it's going to caption it for you, and you can download the transcript, and you've got your blog. And then you pull your best one-liners out of there, and you've got 5 social posts and a quick little e-newsletter to send out. So now we're using this idea of the keystone content, and it basically repurposes into 20 other little pieces of content that can be really helpful. So I know you asked, I'm running out of content ideas, what should I do? But I swear, a little bit of planning with some of those content categories, pillars, and themes, and then a consistent practice week over week with that one key piece that could be a 10-minute Instagram live or a 3-paragraph blog that can then inspire a few other things as the week goes on. And then from there, it's just consistency. No problem, Melissa. Thank you. A PDF or something, a breakdown of the pillars. Yes. If you subscribe to our e-newsletter, socialschool.io/subscribe, I've got tons of free resources that we're pushing out all the time. And we'll be, as we tee up for that content month, we've got a whole ton of new courses and free webinars that are going to be speaking to all of this stuff. And Trello boards. Trello is an amazing tool. It was built as a project management tool with like sticky notes, digital sticky notes that you can move around. But that's where I create these columns where I'm like, hey, here's my personality and people column, idea, idea, idea. Here's my, industry insights, idea. And then you get this idea bank. As you go along, it just starts to become this fun habit. You become your editorial director. And the key, though, is to make it easy and repetitious, something. Oh, geez, I better end there. Repeatable, sure. You just want to keep showing up for people. You can't just overwhelm yourself that first week. So I would start small and then start adding, but don't go dark. I think that's the worst thing we can do right now, is to disappear from people. And then suddenly when the sun comes out, expect that we're going to have, customers flooding us again. No problem. Thank you guys very much for listening. Oh, yeah, that's so nice of you. You just made my day. I really have enjoyed this. If anyone has any final questions, please fire away. And thank you so much to Josie and Carly and everybody at WESC. You guys are such a pleasure. Just every time I get to work with you, I have the greatest time. Will we receive a certificate of completion, was that you said, for this webinar? Oh, I'm not sure. That is something that WESC will have to follow up with. We have certificates of completion when we do sort of larger programs where there is some kind of class as opposed to just a workshop or a webinar. But yeah, if you have any questions about that, you can certainly shoot me an email. And I think this replay is available, as Josie had said, I think. Thanks, Naomi. Oh, you guys are wonderful. Cecile Dubois, you know what? I'm from Dubois in Saskatchewan. My grandma is Yvette Helene Dubois. She's from Elbow. And I have relatives in Moose Jaw and Regina. I feel like isn't everyone from Saskatchewan? And my cousin was just drafted to the Dallas Stars from Moose Jaw. His name's Rhett Gardner. See, I just have to brag about all my relatives. You guys are wonderful. Oh, hi, Jody. Oh, man. Speaking of event planners, Jody is the most spectacular. She's helped us with our conferences in the past, and you guys just have such a wonderful thing going on. Oh, there we are. Josie's saying if you have questions about certification, just email Diane. I'm going to hand it back to Josie and Carly now, and thank you all again for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
For taking your time to share with us today. So I just want to mention that the webinar will be available on demand on our website by the end of the day today. And our next coming webinar will be on April 15th. So that's next Wednesday. The topic for that is being resilient through uncertainty and fear. And that will be presented by Heather Rodriguez. She's a hypnotherapy trainer and mentor. So the registration for that is now open on our website at west.ca. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.